Dear friends, this Sunday is our last but one Sunday of the year. Next week will be Christ the King. So as we end the calendar of the year, Mother Church invites us to think about the end times. So all the readings today revert our minds to the end of the ages, how things will happen when our lives come to an end, when God comes back in his glory. When we hear about the end times and the things that will happen, most people are filled with fear and panic. Like the prophet Daniel in the first reading talks about the distress that will come over the earth is unsurpassable since time began. And Jesus in the gospel talks about the moon will never give light. The stars in heaven will be shaking. When you hear this, you will be filled with fear. But dear friends, these end time stories and images are not to invoke threats or fear in us, but rather they are to give us the assurance of hope. Whenever you hear about the end time, be filled with hope. Hope that one, God will rescue you through his grace and his power. And that is why he says at that time, God will send his angels to gather his elect. So as believers and as Christians, when we hear about the end time and the horrible things that will happen, we are not supposed to be afraid, because we know that will be the time that our God will redeem us and rescue us. And he's mentioned two people, Jesus Christ and Michael the archangel. The Michael we have up there. He will be appointed to come to rescue God's people. So the question is, you should ask yourself, the three groups of people who will be redeemed, are you part of them? He talks about those whose names are written in the book of life. In which book is your name written? Fortunate and blessed are you that you sit here as a Catholic, baptized, and have written your name in the book of the church, the book of life. So you are for God. By your baptism, you have become a son and a daughter of God. And so you shouldn't be afraid about the things that will happen at the end of the age, because you have offered your heart to God. Then he mentioned the wise. Those who are wise will also be rescued. Who are the wise? The wise are those who are able to distinguish between good and bad, evil and righteousness, and they choose to live a good life. So God has given us intellect. He has given us conscience, knowledge. How do we use that knowledge? If we are able to use our wisdom to choose what is good from what is bad, then at the end of the age, when Michael and Jesus Christ come, we will be rescued. We will be protected. Then he mentioned those who have led others to justice, meaning those who have prepared some people or led others to discover God in their lives. And that one also, most of you have done that. You've been able to baptize your children. You have shown them the way of righteousness. You've shown them the way of God. You've shown them the way of justice. So that is also a plus for you. That if you've been able to lead your husband or your wife, your grandkids, to discover the way of God, that means at the end of the age, you will be rewarded. Because God says, anyone who is able to lead one repentant sinner, that person will be rewarded with everlasting glory. So dear friends, as we hear about these end time stories and images, do not fill your heart with fear, but rather be hopeful and know that once you have offered yourself to God and gotten your name written in the book of life, and as you continue to lead others to discover God in their lives and have the wisdom to know what is good from bad, that means you are preparing yourself for eternal reward. So that is our hope. Our hope that through Michael, the archangel, And through the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross, those of us who have come to know God at that time of tribulation, our reward will come when we will be on the rescued. So don't fill your heart with fear. All that you need to do is attach yourself to God. Continue to live a life of righteousness so that at the end, when God comes with power and glory, you will shine like the stars. He says those who are wise, those who have gotten their name in the book of life, they will shine like the firmament of heaven. So this is not to cause fear. Another important thing we need to know about the gospel is the unknown hour and the time that this will happen. Jesus himself says he doesn't know. And he says even the angels in heaven do not know when this will happen. So as wise men and wise women, if we don't know when Jesus is going to come, what do we need to do? Is to get ourselves ready at any point in time. So when we talk about the coming of the Lord, the coming of the end of the age, it is the time we will build farewell to this world. And as we sit here, nobody knows when he or she is going to die. So we should get ourselves ready. At any point in time, God can appear. And if you do not get yourself ready, it will be bad for you. I don't know when I'm going to die, and I don't know when you are also going to die. So each day of your life, get yourself ready. Make good use of the sacrifice of Jesus to purify your heart and to purify your soul. How do we get ourselves ready? Is to always do examination of conscience every day of your life to see, do I need to forgive somebody? Do I need to ask for forgiveness from somebody? Do I have to keep my mind pure? Those are the moments where we get ourselves ready. I remember when I was growing up as a young boy in the home, before we go to bed, we do night prayer as a family together. And my mom will ask, did you hurt anybody throughout the day? If you use any bad word or you hurt your brother or your sister, she will ask you to go and apologize, reconcile before you go to bed to sleep. And she put that fear in us that anytime you sleep, it is like you are being put to death. So he says, anytime we sleep, it's death. And once you get up in the morning, God has resurrected you. So as you sleep, you don't know whether you come back or you not come back. So before you go to bed, she will ask you to reconcile with anybody you have hurt throughout the day. And for me, that is a good exercise to keep your heart pure, to keep your conscience pure. And all of us, we can do that exercise to always put ourselves in good shape, since we don't know when our master is coming. So by the end of the day, before you go to bed, do examination of conscience. Did I hurt anybody? Did I use a bad word on my sister or my brother? Did I hurt my wife? Did I hurt my husband? Do I have to sleep over the wrong that I have done? No. You don't need to sleep with anger. You don't need to go to bed when you have hurt somebody. Before you go to bed each day, cleanse your heart, cleanse your soul, so that you can rest in peace and wake up full of energy, full of joy. As a family, if we are able to do that, our hearts will always be at peace. And whenever God comes to knock at the door, come home and rest, you will have the joy and the happiness to embrace your King. Don't mark time. Time is not on our side. Each day things are happening. You know, Jesus makes a comparison in the gospel. He says, learn from the fig tree. Whenever you see that the leaves are blossom, you say summer is near. Do we know that the coming of Christ is near? And if we know, how are we preparing? Just yesterday in the afternoon, a friend was traveling. He said, hey, Father, in 30 minutes time, I will stop and I'll give you a call and we'll finish the discussion. I said, okay. Then at 1 a.m., I got a call from the wife. Oh, your friend got a crash and he's dead. Somebody who was telling me 30 minutes, I'll get home and we'll continue with the conversation. That was it. So time is not on our side, my dear brothers and sisters. If you have an opportunity to forgive people, forgive them. If you have to reconcile with people, reconcile. Always keep yourself pure, because God wants to bring all of us back into heaven. And so he has given us Jesus to purify our soul. And so as we think about the end time, all we need to do is to get ourselves ready. And we have all the opportunity to save our soul. Because one, your name is written in the book of life. Two, you know the wisdom to choose what is right. Three, you are leading others to discover God. These are the people whom Michael and Jesus Christ will be called to rescue at the end of the age. Continue to remain a son of God. Continue to remain a daughter of God, so that at the end you will shine like an everlasting star. May Christ always guide us along the right path, and may his peace always fill our hearts.